Going into the commercial new construction portion. And the new construction portion, there's a lot of different elements in the new construction portion, so I'm not going to really elaborate on how they all break down, but there's incentives if you're building a green building, a LEED building. There's incentives for the technical assistance of that study. There's assistance for the design study. So there's assistance for if you're installing geothermal wells. So there's just like various layers within that incentive itself. What I did is I created a matrix which actually does break down all the incentives by amounts and as well as eligibility, and that I left in the front lobby. If that's something that you want to copy, if you could go ahead and just write your name on that sign-up sheet, and I could go ahead and send an email out to you with that information. Just a little bit more about the new construction program. The types of buildings that would be qualified for the new construction program is ground up. And also if you're doing a substantial renovation where the space or the building is going to be vacant for at least 30 days. For new construction, there's also 3 approaches. You don't have to start in the design development phase, although that's usually what's recommended. You could also, if you're already far along in your project, and say you just want to compare 2 types of boilers or 2 types of ducting systems, you could go through the custom approach, which is basically, we'll provide you with incentives for starting at a later stage. And so that's the new construction. Next is the multifamily buildings, which is the multifamily performance program. And this is actually New York City's most popular program. I believe there's about 400 buildings undergoing this program right now in New York City, and it's growing all the time. So the way that this program works is that we're basically trying to get the buildings to reach a 20% energy reduction target. So that's energy in fuel, energy in water, energy in electricity. And if you could achieve that 20% target, we'll give you, 4 different incentive payments. So the incentive breakdown is the first payment we'll give you at the start at the creation of something called an energy reduction plan, which is basically it's kind of like a scope of work that you work with one of NYSERDA's contractors, and they'll develop that plan for you, which shows what are the most cost-effective measures that you could do. So we'll give you that first payment once we approve that plan. The second payment is when you are at 50% completion of your installation of the measures. The third one is once you're at 100% completion of installing the measures, and the fourth one is when you reach that 20% reduction goal. So just the way that this works is that you would go out, find a contractor that you're comfortable working with, and you could find those contractors on our website, getenergysmart.org, complete the program application and benchmark the building, design the project, get those recommendations and install, and get your incentives. Next one is the Energy Smart Loan. And the Energy Smart Loan, that's changed pretty quickly this past year. It used to be a 6.5% buy down off of any lender's rate, one of our participating lenders, but now that rate has actually been reduced to 4%. So NYSERDA will provide a 4% buy down from the lender's rate with a 3% floor. So say if a lender is offering 7%, NYSERDA will pay that lender that 4%, so the customer only has to pay 3% for that loan. If it's a 6% loan, NYSERDA will buy down that 3% because they can't go below that 3% floor. So you're basically getting a 3% loan for doing any of the installations. That loan also used to cover commercial buildings, but that program has been suspended for a couple months. It's supposed to be back online, I think either in June or hopefully by the end of the summer. And last is the photovoltaic incentives, and this is also one of our most popular programs. And the way that works is that NYSERDA will pay about 30% of the cost of the system to one of our eligible installers. So you have to work with one of our eligible installers to get this incentive. But along with the state tax credits, the federal tax credits, as well as the city's property tax abatements, you could have about 70% or 60% of the cost of the system paid for. So it's a very good, you get like a 6% turnaround, 6% or 6-year payback on a PV system, so it usually makes pretty good sense for people to install that. And these are just the incentive amounts for residential, and the next slide shows the amounts for commercial. And the Energy Smart Loan, I went over that. That's basically it.
Great, thank you, Diana. So we'll take a few questions. I let her go a little long because it's obviously very important. I think energy is one of the main ways that you can save money with the building. Here we have a question right here. Two questions. So the deadline for the Energy Smart program, the residential one, is expiring July 31st. Will that be extended?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say because I'm not one of the people that are administering the program up at Albany. So it's usually, you know, until I find out, no one really says one way or the other whether it's going to be extended or not. Usually the programs are extended, but like the commercial loan fund, that one had to be suspended for a while, so I can't really give you a good answer on that one.
What was the second question?
So, right, solar thermal, we're actually in development of a solar thermal incentive, so I imagine that should be coming out shortly. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to be structured.
Question right here. Are you offering incentives for wind?
Yes, we currently do offer a wind incentive. The only thing is you are not allowed to put a wind system on a building. So for my territory, it's really irrelevant for me to talk about wind. But if you do have property that's upstate New York, then we do have an incentive for that.
Okay, another question right here.
Back in 2006, I started going through something with one of your contracts that was wrong, and then we programmed it in 2007. And I couldn't get that 1.5 inch of paper only to find out that it really was much water. Is there some sort of threshold size building in your mind?
Is there a threshold for size for
the
commercial building?
multifamily performance program, that is for buildings that are 5 units or more. For units that are 1 to 4, we have something called the home performance program, which I didn't really discuss today. But there's also a pilot project that we're coming out with, which is called the low-rise incentive. So that's, I'm not exactly sure the details. I think it's, okay, sure.
Okay, I'm going to, obviously Diana can answer a lot of your questions offline another time.
Right.
So I'm just going to...
Yeah, and again, if you want more information or if you don't get a chance to contact me, I encourage you to sign up on my mailing list, and that's where you'll get most of the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana.